allow me to introduce myself. My name is Cho. I'm a master student here right now, and I will be the MC for today. On behalf of the organizers, I would like to extend my warm welcome to all the honorary guests to the 3rd NOCERAL Day 2016. Welcome to our plenary speakers, the alumni members, professors, lecturers, master's graduate, master's student, the academic staff, research officers, and so on. Salam sejahtera, salam satu Malaysia. Okay, today we are very honored to have the presence of Emeritus Professor Zuraina Abdul Majid, Professor Dr. Tunku Kamrul Zaman Tunku Zano Abidin, which is our University Malaya Medical Center Director, Associate Professor Dr. Nazira Hasnan, Deputy Director of UMMC, Dato Mahmud American, and Datin Rogaya, Yayasan Orthopedic Board of Trustees, Professor Dato Dr. Tunku Sara, which is our NOCERAL Director, Professor Soek, professors, and our lecturers, so on. Okay, without further ado, I would like to invite our NOCERAL Director, Professor Tunku Sara, Tunku Amayaya, to deliver the welcoming speech. Thank you.
Well, all I have to say in addition is that this year we wanted to do something special for our graduates, and we hope they have an early sort of semi-formal or informal graduation ceremony because they've worked very hard for this. But on top of that, I'm really happy that the alumni are here to welcome them as well into the fraternity of orthopedic surgeons. So welcome everybody, and I think this was my second welcome speech. But anyway, enjoy the morning, and salam sejahtera, and what did you say? Salam satu Malaysia.
Okay, so next I would like to invite the first speaker, which is our plenary speaker of the day, Emeritus Professor Dato Dr. Siti Zuraina Abdul Majid. She was appointed the Director General cum Commissioner of Heritage in 2006 to establish the Department of National Heritage and administer the newly enacted National Heritage Act of 2005. With a background in anthropology and Chinese studies, she spent decades working and researching as an archaeologist and cultural anthropologist. She founded Malaysia's only Center for Archaeological Research in USM, which accredited it as a Center of Excellence. She spent years continuously in the discovery of Lenggong Valley excavating sites. Her hard work has led to the granting of UNESCO World Heritage Site status to the Lenggong Valley in 2012. She has multiple roles as a delegation leader for Malaysia in UNESCO, and this have now placed Malaysia in a contributory position towards World Heritage. She has produced more than 20 books, international award-winning documentaries, and national world inscriptions. All of this during the last 8 years, which have created strong public interest and heritage awareness as never before. So today she will be giving the plenary speech on highlights of Malaysia archaeology. Please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Professor Dr. Tengku Kamarul Zaman, PPUM Director, Associate Professor Dr. Nazira, PPUM Deputy Director, yang berbahagia Datuk Dr. Mahmud and Datin Rogaya, Board of Trustees Yayasan Orthopedic, yang berbahagia Datuk Dr. Tengku, Professor Tengku Sara, NOCERAL Director, Professor Dr. Vivek Ajit Singh, Head of Department of Orthosurgery, doctors, distinguished surgeons, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera, good morning, salam satu Malaysia. Okay. This is such a treat to me because usually I have to queue up to see one orthopedic surgeon. And today I have you all in front of me. Not only that, listening to me instead of me listening to one doctor. So it's a reversal of roles. Since your interest is in bones, and you're used to, as Professor Sarah said, healing bones, here we cannot heal them, but we can read into them on what they suffered from. But before I go into the actual bones that we discovered, just to give you a little background on how we find them and on Malaysian archaeology. Okay. Oops, sorry. How did it go? Okay. In archaeology, we deal with time. As you know, time can go as far back as 2 million years. And the further back you go, the less knowledge you have. Because it's very difficult to get knowledge to perah darah from stones. The later period, you have documentary sources, you have all other means of understanding man and his life and his culture. So as the more time you have, the further in time you go, the less knowledge you have. Then when you go to historical time, it's very small, but you have abundant knowledge about it. And, oops, sorry, I don't know how to use this. Okay, oops. Okay, now during prehistoric times, the material they use are stone, pottery, metal. And then you use laser technology today. So you see a development in technology through time, an increase in knowledge as you go through time. This is to give you an idea of where we are today. Right on top, you see KLCC, KL Tower. Okay. That is where we are today, a very thin slice of time. 99% of time, 99.9% of time is what we don't know about, is what archaeology tells us. So what we know is just that little thin slice of time, which is about, what, 2,000 years, 1,000 years, and you're dealing with 1 or 2 or 3 million years ago. Okay, as detectives of the past, we cannot do it ourselves. We work together with a lot of scientists. We work together with geologists. We work with geologists. We work with soil scientists. We work with zoologists. We work with physical anthropologists. We work with somebody from the medical sciences. We work with chemists. We work with a whole team of people depending on the kind of data we require from our artifacts. Okay, now this might interest you. These are the areas in Malaysia where we have found skeletons in the past. There are altogether about 300 skeletons, but they are not the way you are used to seeing people, complete. What we see are just little bits, just a skull. Sometimes we find just a hand. Sometimes we find just a leg, or sometimes just a tooth. You know, for us it's important because it denotes that man was present. So these are the different sites in Semenanjung, Malaysia, and today I'm going to pick just the key areas. I'm going to pick Lenggong, I'm going to pick Guacha, and Nia. Okay, Lenggong is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site because it has contributed to world knowledge on man and his lifeways in the world. So it has such a great impact. Now, one of the reasons for getting it, there are 4 reasons. One which might interest you is the discovery of the Perak man. Now, he is the first evidence of congenital deformity called brachymesophalangia type A2, and that is the first evidence in medical science. He lived about 10,000 years ago. Then in this valley, we also have another very important site, Kota Tampan, which has overthrown earlier theories in archaeology on stone tools. So those are 2 of the important contributions. There are 5 altogether. Kota Tampan or Lenggong is part along the migratory route to Australia. From about 1 to 2 million years ago, people have passed through Lenggong. At that time, the map of the world looked completely different. As you know, Southeast Asia was just one blob called Sundaland. Okay, this is the cave where Perak Man was discovered. You see the hill on top, very close to the peak, but behind it, on the other side, is this cave called Gua Gunung Runtuh. It's called Gua Gunung Runtuh because you see they're just rocks runtuh. When we first went in, there was very little earth for us to dig. So we had to lift very heavy boulders before we could get to the soil for excavations. So these are the big boulders that we found there, and that's when excavation was conducted in the site. Now, if you see one of my team members standing in the middle, do you see him in blue jeans and a white shirt? Yeah? Now, he is standing on the site where the Perak Man was discovered, not knowing that the bones were underneath him. At that point in time, we didn't know what was underneath. So that's why we have to be very careful when we walk in an excavation site. So when he was standing there and excavating the top layers, we didn't know that at the bottom was Perak Man. Yeah? Okay, this is when we found him. It would be good if I had laser. I took pointer because, no. I don't know how to use a mouse. It's okay, it's okay. How do? Oh, okay. Okay, I'll just move. Okay, without clicking. Okay, that's a Perak Man. That's his skull, you see. And that was how he was buried. Okay, with one hand at the tummy. Okay, and you find he's very short for a skeleton. That's because he was buried in a fetal position. Yeah. Okay, that's how he was buried. Yeah. And around him was food remains, shells, stone tools. Okay, so we had to remove him from this very high gua and bring him down, which was not an easy task because it's a very slippery road down. So we had to pack him very, very carefully, and we had to label every part of his bone, which was very brittle, 10,000 years. Yeah, and that was quite a task. The gentleman with me is a physical anthropologist and a medical doctor from Indonesia. He was one of the team that discovered the early bones in Solo. Okay, that's us again, wrapping each piece very carefully for the long journey down to the base. Yeah? We also use plaster of Paris, but in a different way. We have to protect his bones when taking him out from the site. Okay, then we take them to the lab, we clean before we analyze. Yeah. Now he was about 43 to 45 years old when he died, which is a very old age at that time. The lifespan then was about 20 to 25, but he lived a long time despite being handicapped. That was probably because he was given the easy tasks, and he was looked after very well, because just imagine he had knowledge of where to hunt, how to hunt, what to hunt, what to give when you are ill. If you are suffering from this, then you do this, you take these herbs. So he was an encyclopedia of information for the little band of people at that time. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Now, he was buried, he was a right-hander because he was buried with his right hand. Never mind, it's okay. He was buried with shells, and these shells are siput sedut that we still enjoy today, that was present in the rivers nearby. There were altogether more than 3,000 siput sedut, and he had stone tools with him. He had food from a lot of animals, all for his journey to the next world. There was already a belief that this is not the end, but there is another world after this. Yeah, his right hand had bones from various animals, and so did his left hand. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah, this shows you his vertebrae that's slightly bent, may be due to his posture throughout his life. Okay, this is a close-up. These are his little fingers. Yes, one arm had atrophied. And this was probably how he was buried. Okay. These food remains were scattered around him. He probably died because of a very bad toothache that could have poisoned his whole body for about 1 week. This is the result that we had from the dental surgeons in Kubang Krian that examined his jaw. Okay, this may be what he looked like. He's about 5'2", curly head. Okay. Then these are the skeletons that were in Cambridge University from Guacha. There were about 33 skeletons discovered in Guacha from about 10,000 years ago to about 8,000 years ago. The British archaeologists took them back, but we were very fortunate. We managed to bring them home. We brought home about 20. They kept all the skulls, the best part. They kept in the laboratory there. They gave us just the rest of the body. So these are available for study. Yeah. They haven't been studied since they were brought back in 2008. These are some of them. We brought them back in those suitcases, those overnight cases, and the pilot was very, very good. His landing was superb in KL Airport. Okay. Okay, the next cave that I'm going to talk about that has a lot of skeletons, almost 200, is Guanya. Guanya, the Westmouth Guanya in Sarawak. It's famous for the deep skull, dated to about 38,000 years ago. They found just the skull. This is the cemetery part. There were about 200 burials in this area, and about 122 of these burials were taken away to University of Nevada in Las Vegas. I went there and studied the bones. They were all fragmented, and this is one of the results on height. And the result on height is that over time, there's an increase in height. And based on gender, the males were taller. There was very little that could be studied, but maybe you can get more out of them. These are still there in Las Vegas. Okay, I excavated this skeleton in 1977. He is, that's his head. Do you notice anything wrong with him? Congenital deformity too. You remember in 1950s they used to have thalidomide babies. Yeah. Well, you see, yeah. You see his ulna. Oops, there. And the fingers are here. Both arms, okay, there. He's very interesting. He's not very old. He's probably about 2,000 to 3,000 years old. He was wrapped up in weeds, yeah, and he was buried with pottery and stone tools. There, you see his deformed ulna. So we haven't worked on this. This is an interesting skeleton to study. It's now in Sarawak Museum. We've taken it out from the caves. Okay, this is a more modern historic skeleton from Malacca. Just a few hundred, for about 400 years old. Caucasoid. Yeah. It was, if you go to Malacca, there's Bastion Middelburg. This is across the street from Bastion Middelburg. There is an area that's marked out. This was where those skeletons were found. These are modern, what we call relatively modern skeletons. Yeah? These too can be studied. But sometimes you find that there are tombstones, but no skeletons. This is one of them, the megalith, Batu Hidup. And it's arranged like tombstones. For each place you have two, small, large, different sizes. But when you dig, there's just no burial inside, but there are ceramic offerings inside. Okay? And there are other cases too where you might expect skeletons, but you don't find skeletons. These are the coffin burials in Sabah. There could be skeletons before, but eaten up over time. These date back to about 1,000 years. Okay, that's about it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Raina. Professor Raina, we would like to present a token of appreciation. I would like to invite Prof. Sarah to present the token of appreciation to Professor Raina. Next, I would like to invite Professor Tunku Kamruzaman Tunku Zainal Abidin. He's presently the director of UMMC. He's by profession an orthopedic surgeon with special interest in upper limb and microsurgery. He entered a Masters of Orthopedics specialty training program from UM and later pursued his subspecialty training in University of Liverpool, UK. And during that time, he also awarded a PhD degree from this university. He's currently the head of Tissue Engineering Group. His research interests will be ranging from biomechanics to cell biology. He has published over 100 peer-reviewed articles in many peer-reviewed journals and supervising a lot of postdoc, doctoral, and postgraduate as well as undergraduate. So please welcome Prof. Kamaru, and he will be talking on running a hospital. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Datuk Mahmud, Prof. Sarah, Prof. Raina. Good morning, everybody. I was given this topic about running a hospital. Maybe, what do I know? I actually been running this only for 9 months. But before this, I've actually run a hospital as a deputy director. And to be honest, since I got back in the UK in 2010, I think, I've moved from one job to the other, so I've never really finished my term. So I hope I can finish my term as a director. In every appointment, I would like just 1-2 years, keep moving on. So let's see how much I've done for the hospital, and what you can actually learn from today's lecture. So for most of you, you're not sure of what's PPUM. This is where we are right now in the hospital, somewhere. Mana? Somewhere there. All right, somewhere there. Okay. For all of you, right, this is our new logo. It's slightly different because it looks so messy like this, so we've actually tried to make it better. But the hospital is actually this whole big area. So if you look back in history where we started out, it was built in 1964, and you can see that this is where we are, somewhere here, because this is a clear demarcation between the faculty and the hospital. So it's like one big lizard, you know. There's the head there, and then there's the tail at the end. And at the tip of the tail is actually the dentistry department. Okay, so this is the main area of the hospital. The hospital expands from the front. This is Jalan University all the way to the back where they have the services. So the main part of the clinical services is here, connected to the faculty, where we've actually run for the hospital for all the academic matters. As you go down here, all the support services runs the other side. So this is what it looks like in 1968. You know this is an authentic picture of 1968 because you can still see that Volkswagen Beetle. What used to be, you know, there's a tunnel in front with a nice picture now with a that is the tunnel there. So they actually covered the tunnel so that you can walk underneath. This is now your clinics now. The green lane, or what we used to go. You know why it's called the green lane, guys? Yeah, the Commonwealth Games. Okay, so who remember in 1998 we ran the Commonwealth Games, and that's where you drop off all the people who had injuries because of something, or they just probably had a fight after losing a bet for some of these games. So they end up down here. So this is where we are. This hospital also, if you notice where we are now, we're actually here. And as you can see, the arrangement of this auditorium, apparently this is historical also. The auditorium was designed this way to follow the old style of medical education teaching, but as you can see, it's already been upgraded many times. Okay, so this is the hospital what it looked like in 1968. Okay, sorry, it's a bit slow, I'm not sure why. Okay, some historical pictures. This young lady is now Tuan Aisyah, who is our Pro-Chancellor of University Malaya. This is the late Sultan Azlan, if you know. This young man is now, he's already retired twice already. He's already been our Dean Director, moved on to become the VC of University Malaya, then moved on to become the head for Monash, and now I think he's completely retired. Okay, Prof. Anwar Zaini. Okay, this is Jason Teo, yes, who also became the Dean later on. And this is the former Pengarah Hospital, which is Datuk Gumuk Singh, which I think he's no more with us, isn't it? Yeah, he's no more with us. So nice, some sites of here. Those of you who did house officer, houseman training, there's a room, you know. Sekarang panggil bilik mesyuarat Puspasari. There's a nice now meeting rooms with lots of televisions there. And at that time also, they can see the matronesses were a lot more slimmer than what we have our matron today. These were in the 1970s. Well, I mean, look at us all. Do you know for a fact that 48.9% of Malaysians are either overweight or obese? You see? So today is not a big deal anyway. So anyway, we can see all of these people who in 1999, which I probably did my house officer training, used to be the top management here. You can see at the middle is Prof. Amin, who is unwell at the present time, and we pray for his speedy recovery. But that was before, and this is what PPM is today. That main block that you guys saw at the center there in 1968 now has grown off with all these new blocks. The first problem I always thought is, how on earth am I going to catch to an area, say there's a fire on top of Prof. Nazira's office, old office up here, how on earth is the bomber going to reach all the way up there? That's actually a big problem. This is actually a true concrete jungle of its own team. And next few years, we're looking at development of here, building up there, building up here. Mana ada tempat kosong lagi? Mana ada tempat kosong, ada satu lagi benda building. So this will be the true metropolitan of tomorrow, a real concrete jungle, right? And it will still continue to go so. And most of you as a master students also, paling banyak sekali I dapat letters asking for this, is actually asking for car parks, which is, as you know, for a place which has registered about 6,000 staff alone, which only have about 2,000 car park for both staff and visitors. This is going to be a massive hellhole, put it that way. So that's the new generation of the pengarah. That's me in the center. That's I have 3 deputies. Prof. Nazira sitting down here. She's the deputy director for the clinical. Puan Harban's Kaur is the deputy director for the professional services, and Encik Iskandar is the deputy director for administrative matters. You know our core values, isn't it? Excellence, patient-centeredness, ethics, efficiency, empathy, friendliness. Despite having this written somewhere along the law, I'm very sure this guy staying for 4 years down there also do not know that this is the core value for the hospital. Correct, guys? Don't know. Okay. Alright. But never mind. Now you know. Before you graduate, before you leave this place, we should try to remember that this is our motto. And we provide a lot of care. I'm not sure why happened here, but we actually provide a lot of services in PPM. Okay. Alright. Sorry. And now, okay. There are many departments. I'll give a summary of all of this, and we are probably the only hospital in the country with so many intensive care wards and units, and now we're in the process of building more intensive care, and this hospital will be remembered as one of the hospitals providing the highest number of ICUs, okay, places in the country. Operating theatres, as you know, we also have to increase the number of operating theatres. Everybody's complaining we'll be moving here and there, bocor sana, bocor sini. Yes, we're building new operating theatres. Hopefully by the time we finish, we have about 42 of these. All right. Pharmacy services, despite having very few pharmacies, we actually provide quite a number of pharmacies. You can even have drive-through. I don't think, you guys know your patients can come and drive through not to get ubat. Tahu. You also know that they can send the ubat back home, right? Oh, you know that. Oh, very good lah. At least you know something about it. Okay, so in total number, what I'm responsible for, these are the numbers I've got for the number of UMMC personnel registered staff. You know, we have about 5,776. That's for the hospital alone, not including those working from FOM. People like myself, that counts to 412 of us. Then there's non-clinical staff like your clerks and all that. They're actually working over here, but come to the hospital to do some work is 129. Number of staff attaching or training is 290. Number of students alone, okay? Number of students, master students actually contribute about 700 over. Medical students contribute 900 over. Nursing students contribute about 950. So all in all, about 1,900 of them, okay, at any one time. Number of students EMMC non-medical is 320. You're talking about the radiologists, radiographers, the MLTs. Okay, number of medical staff, not UMMC employee, is 940. So number of non-medical staff not directly employed is 1,800. So in total, at any one time, I look over 11,500 people. Okay, I don't know all their names, but I look at their faces, I know some of them very bad, some of them very good. So if I remember you, it's either you're very good or you're very bad. So don't take it hard if I don't remember you. Okay, it's 11,500 people. Patient statistics, we are reaching up to the maximum. I don't have the latest one, the latest slide, but we're able to cap it down because of these access blocks. You always hear access blocks, right? Sometimes even Ortho pun ada access blocks. So we make sure that the wards don't get overfilled. If I were to run like HKL, you know how to pick kan? Patient lagi ramai, what do you do? Accept. Then tak cukup, mana letak? Sorry? Put a corridor, put them at the outside, in front of the toilet, underneath the other patient's bed, wherever lah, as long as we can take the patients in. Over here, we cannot do that, alright? We make sure we maintain. So that's why we have access blocks. But I have to show you the new slides. And this has actually doubled, you know. Even though we've actually kept here, our outpatients are doing even more. So that's why we noticed that in the next few years, we may not be able to cope the outpatient department. So future planning is actually important. So one of the jobs that I do running hospital is to plan what will happen in the near future. This is roughly very common sight you see, right? The patient waiting, then bising, then after that, especially you go for hand clinic, you see patient 2-3 minit, patient marah. Saya tunggu 3 jam, doktor jumpa saya 2 minit. Okay, so this is the kind of things that we do lah. So the last number that we had for 2050 is about this number lah, like 1,034,000. Okay, so the hospital management, we have 23 clinical departments, 14 non-clinical departments, and 8 clinical support departments. Okay, that's what we have today. And dulu used to be 44 wards. We actually have some additional wards. Our hospital capacity is actually up to 1,400 beds, or 1,460 beds actually, but we have kept it down. The reason is we're limited in numbers of nursing staff. So in the whole, for all the departments, we've broken down into 3 major areas. As you can see, Prof. Nazira takes the bulk of it. Since I was a TPK for about 2 years, I was handling all these departments and all the heads, and semua ada perangai masing-masing. So faham je lah kan. And this list actually getting longer. Ada panjang lagi kan? Ada lagi kan? Okay, so it's actually just growing and growing. So what do? We actually make sure that the facilities are working. Your equipments, all of you complaining rosak, we get it repaired. You make sure that we all have enough switches, enough medication, and most importantly, you make sure there's enough staff to actually run the hospital. So it's not just the doctors that run the hospital, the nurses actually, as my recent message, actually make sure that the hospital done. If they don't around, the whole hospital will paralyze. So to be honest, this is what we make sure runs in this place. There's also now clinical governance and patient safety issue, which is now becoming the big thing about our hospital. And in fact, I think we are quite leading into this. There were a number of KKM hospital minta clinical governance. Can you have the clinical governance punya policy documents and all that? Yes, but tak apa. You have to work hard and nothing comes free. So the importance is clinical governance. So we are one of the very few hospitals that actually have clear guidelines on clinical governance. Unfortunately, I think not many people are aware of it. There's also issues of non-clinical governance that we have, and of course my biggest challenge today, as you all know, is the cash flow and hospital economics. Okay, prices go up, things goes up, tapi the money that we get is still low. Our budget from the government compared to past 3 years has not changed, but you see our patient is doubling in numbers. You need more places for training. So this is actually the biggest difficulties that I have. Now the other one that I have recently is all these malpractices. People are more aware, so lawyers also tak ada kerja. They are offering all kinds of stuff. Okay, I had one. I want a patient. I had a letter from a lawyer saying that, I came in. I was expecting the surgery, but the doctor saw me and said, "Ortho doctor lah." Somebody, one of your medical officer said, "Tak perlu buat. Rasa kating kita boleh tunggu." Then because for my inconvenience, I'm asking for 10,000 ringgit. Okay, for my inconvenience. So the lawyer asked me what to do. Take it, throw it in dustbin. I cannot be bothered. But the other thing is that the other ones that comes into play, issues are the malpractices, and they're actually quite real. You know that you have a few of your fellow friends actually already going to be hauled out to court, isn't it? Okay, for these malpractices, the hospital have to provide care. Our insurance policies now cost about 1.5 million to 2 million. So we're expecting it to increase some more by next year. Although our malpractices claims have never increased, in fact they are making money out of it, but the problem is apparently as the whole country progresses, there are now more malpractice suits being awarded, so therefore we are also affected. So now it's going to be about 2 million, 1.5 million for this year we expect. Next year onwards will be about 2 million, and the following year will be about 3. Okay, that's how much malpractices is going to be. And of course, the next one is preparing for the future lah, so that we can take more people in to be trained. We always have systems issues, people waiting, and sometimes patient like this poor chap actually just collapse in front of you. So we actually have to make sure that services are provided to the best care. So the hospital has a blue alert, okay? So we actually come in. This one you're very familiar, isn't it? Always something breaks down. What do you expect? PPM has been around for almost 50 years, you know. But what I find it very odd is some of the new parts of the building also break down in less than 5. Okay, so we have flooding issues, and of course when Prof. Sarah tell me, something leaking on top, so we actually open up. What happened is kita try to make good for the clinic side, kan? Suddenly something happened elsewhere. It always like passes through one to the other. So it's a never-ending constant problem of infrastructure issues. And we also have to deal with people, which is also the biggest thing. This is just nice example. I took the photo one day I passed by. There was like tengah-tengah hari, can see very bright light outside, okay? Lampu pasang penuh, see? nobody around, and all the food left down here, and there's a lot of food wastage. The wastage is an issue with the hospital also that we actually have to go and trim down, so it becomes my responsibility now. The other one is another human issue, is compliance issue. I think you heard, isn't it? I was very unhappy. As you can see, in order for a hospital to comply, hand hygiene is actually about 75%. You have to actually go in and make